All right, hey, today I want to talk to you about potting rooted cuttings, and this really has to do with both potting your rooted cuttings and pruning your rooted cuttings. So first thing first is it's absolutely important that you prune small plants. The faster the growing plant, if it's a fast growing plant, it needs to be pruned sooner and more frequently. Now, and I'll show you why that's so important. I go out when my cuttings, we're taking a cutting about that long, and we stick it in the rooting bed, and in a matter of like 4 weeks, it's rooted. Well, once it's rooted, things like forsythia and wigelia, a lot of different plants will actually start growing, and they start putting on growth, but they look like this. And they're tall and spindly, and they're only an inch apart, so there's no sunlight getting down in here because of this top growth. So what I do is I go right through the cutting bed. Remember, the cuttings are an inch apart in there. I go through the cutting bed with my head shears, not pruners, but literally head shears, and I just whack the tops off of everything in the cutting bed, because what that does is that allows, one, it stops this upright terminal growth, which is a complete waste of energy, and so it forces the plant to start breaking bud down low, which this plant is doing, but this here has to come off. So if I do it in the cutting bed, then I immediately correct this problem, and then sunlight gets in, because now everything is only this high. The sunlight can reach in there, hit these leaves, feed the plant, and then the plant's going to start to fill out. And again, come fall, late summer, fall, if that plant is put on another 5 or 6 inches, if it's a vigorous grower, I will cut it again right in the cutting bed, because I do not want rooted cuttings that look like this. I want rooted cuttings that look like this. This is a summer snowflake viburnum. I bought this from a professional grower, and they clearly, and I think they had two motives. This was the original cutting right here, and you can see where it was cut here. My guess is they went through there last summer to get cuttings, but you can see that once they cut it right here, you got multiple bud break here, you got bud break down here. That's a beautiful little plant. So let's talk about putting it in the container, especially something like this, either one of these things. When you pot this in the container, especially a rooted cutting like this, and I'm going to, well, first thing, before I pull this out, I want to explain to you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to cut this thing off right here. I don't really want to do it now, though, because there's just not a lot going on. So now I really have to wait and let this growth flush out a little bit. Then I'll go through and I'll just cut everything off there. Had that been done last year, that plant would look like this, all right? This is a dappled willow this is a hardwood cutting that was rooting this time last spring, probably wasn't rooted, by summer it was rooted. You can see this is our original cutting was only about 3 inches long, and the terminal bud above that top bud has died back, which is often the case. Then we went through there during the summer and we cut here, here, and here. We probably cut it here. Well, I'm not sure, but anyway, that was probably the original cut. But anyway, we cut here, here, and here, right where my fingers are. Now you can see how much growth we got below that. If we hadn't done that, that thing would look like this, or it would look like one of these things that's just tall and spindly. So now we've got a plant that is on its way to be nice and full. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it right there like that. Now that thing is going to fill out really, really nice. I'm even going to tip this one just a little bit. Now it's just going to explode with growth. It's going to fill the container. It's going to be a beautiful plant for $5, $4.97. So anyway, pruning is absolutely essential. So same with this. I'm going to have to cut this thing way back here, but now I probably won't do it for another month or two. Now this thing was recently potted, so you won't see any roots in here. You will see that this potting mix has a lot of bark in it. And it's rainy and wet out there today, so this is damp, but there's no standing water here. Now look at the roots. You know, this plant has a nice little root system. Now when you pot this thing, you have to pot it way up here at the top of the container, because you really don't want, you want about a ½ inch of soil over top of that root crown. That's really about it, because those roots have to get air. So you're going to put it in the container about that deep. Not that deep, that's going to either kill the plant, which it'll probably just kill it because this stem is going to rot. So you're going to pot it way up high like this. So I'm going to put my soil back in here about that high, and then I'm going to set that right on top and put the soil back in there like this. And then when I push it down, I'm going to pat it down a little bit. That's just about the right height. So again, you got to be careful because you want those plants to breathe. Now, here's the thing you got to keep in mind. This is a brand new cutting. It's only got roots that go this deep. So the top of this container will dry out very easily. All the moisture in the world down here is not going to help until this plant develops some more root growth over the next few weeks. And then it'll be a lot more stable in its new home there. So anyway, that's how you pot rooted cuttings. You got to pot them very close to the surface, but then you got to stay on top of your watering. Now, these were rooted cuttings. I bought these from another grower, and these things desperately needed to be pruned last summer. This is a variegated Weigelia. This thing should be every bit as full as this or as full as this, not like this. But now I see that I probably got a little bit of frost damage on these leaves down here, which often happens with Weigelia in the early spring. So I can't do a thing with this. We had to pot it up exactly like you see it, and then we're going to have to let this flush out, and then we're probably going to end up coming in here and cutting this thing way back there to correct what has taken place. It's not the end of the world. But if this thing had been pruned last summer and looked like this, I could pot this thing up and probably be selling it in a matter of weeks. So again, you don't be afraid to prune your stuff. You have to prune it. This is another variegated Weigelia. Same thing. All the growth is up here. Now these are sun-loving plants, so when this all flushes out, it's going to shade this. This is never going to fill in if you don't take this off. But we can't take that off because we just don't have enough leaf growth down here to support the plant. So now we've got to let it do its thing, and then here probably in 4 to 8 weeks, probably closer to 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to have to go through and prune these then and really smack them back down to get them back to where they need to be. So again, this is what you're looking for, and this is what you're looking for. The more you prune it, the prettier it's going to be. So 2 lessons here: prune, 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 even in the rooted cutting bed. And on this page, I'm going to show you some photos of me out there with my hedge shears just whacking the tops off of stuff in the cutting bed, because I want to reverse this situation or this situation. I don't want that to happen. So in the cutting bed, I'm just going to go through and mow the tops off. And then when we pot them up, as soon as I do that, that's going to tell the plant, hey, we don't have a terminal bud, we can't go this way, so now we have to go this way. And when it goes this way, you get multiple bud breaks. So, all right, I hope this has been helpful, and we'll call this Mondays with Mike. So, on pruning rooted cuttings.